We'll just wait for Fuzzy to refresh.
Furiously refreshing as we speak, and we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Paradox Hour's very own Storytime Network. And yes, I know I said that in reverse
I
order.
was about to say.
It's because I haven't been here for a while, and I'm stupid. And
Seriously.
on that positive note, shall we begin our One Piece monthly go along as we join Logstar on his blind journey through probably one of the greatest works of fiction in the modern world?
Yeah.
If I ever
Uh,
somehow manage to become an English teacher, I'm making my kids read this.
oh God, yes, please.
Sounds like a brilliant
Um,
idea.
I don't know what to think of that.
I,
Just give about 10 more sessions, maybe I'll figure it out.
One Piece and Discworld. That will be my English curriculum.
I still say the current English curriculum is dumb and should have at the very least more Lord
It
of the Rings in it.
is god awful, yes. Yes, it
Oh
should have
god.
Lord of the
At
Rings
least the
and
Hobbit.
like
At the very least the
the
Hobbit.
hot. Okay, we're getting off topic. We can discuss our future English curriculums on the next podcast.
Fuck Core and Boy.
Yes. You know why we're here. You know who we are. Mill,
Hello, I'm probably
Jack.
still sleep deprived.
I'm Jack, and I am actually doing alright now with a decent amount of sleep, but not great.
Logstar,
Village Idiot at your service.
and of course, it has lulled you into a false sense of security for being gone for a few weeks, but it's returned and it's staring and it's
Well, it's made
looking right at you, actually.
it's made its way back to its usual corner, so that's good at least. I was getting worried about how close it was getting to me.
It's closer to me now.
I mean,
Again.
in fairness, I thought it had eaten you, considering it was up in your corner last time it was here.
It almost did. I barely made it out alive.
Yeah, I think he's close to me because Fuzzy has round 2 to sign up for.
Yes, that will be happening now that I have energy and water and hydration. And with on that, and speaking of dehydration, man, those zombies should get a drink, huh? Like water, not alcohol. Seriously, look at them. Their skin looks parched.
What are you talking about? They're just heavily wounded old men.
Logstar, would you? Ah,
Hey,
yes.
they
Oh
carry around.
God, I forgot. I forgot. I love
Some of them
that
even
gag.
carry around buckets. Some of them even carry around buckets.
Now, Logstar, would you like to regale us with your first impressions of the beginning of Thriller Bark?
Now, beginning of Thriller Bark. Now, first of all, I will say this has come up. I'm pretty sure I've said this a few times, but I'm still wondering when they're going to stop being surprised by any given thing happening. It's like, at this point, it'll be like, you know what?
It's
I'm
not.
asking
It's not
questions
happening.
anymore, screw it.
It's not happening. They're going to continue to be
Yeah,
surprised.
I know, but that's a very good point. And I realize that it's not happening, but like, huh? That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
So anyway, beginning of Thriller Bark, we get some fun stuff like stealing shadows. We all know we all knew where that was going as soon as we saw it, right? We all knew where that was going first time, right?
You also,
For the record, where did you know it was going?
It's like you knew they weren't keep the rest of the crew wouldn't be keeping their shadows for too long. You knew
Okay,
that was
yes,
happening.
yes. Yeah, that was
We
Yeah,
all-
it was pretty clear that at least some of the crew would lose their shadows
Yeah.
at some point.
we also got the answer to the eternal question of do skeletons poop?
And the answer is yes.
But of
somehow.
but of course, a lot of the questions answered by Brooke. Well, I'm not sure if we wanted them answered in the first place, or if it even answers questions without raising even more of them. But we can stop right there. So,
Oh, like the afterlife stuff?
well, yeah, and like basically everything else. Basically everything else.
No, Brooke is an excellent addition to the crew. And can we just talk about the fact that in terms of agreement for recruitment, Brooke was probably the single easiest Straw Hat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nah. He
Well, I mean-
agreed instantly.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
come on,
Luffy was like, "Hey, join my crew," and Brooke was like, "Yeah, sure."
yeah, I mean, come on, when you've been alone for that long, you're just like, yep, just bring me with you, you know.
You get the feeling that Brooke
Yeah.
was basically just waiting for a ship to actually stop and talk to him.
Brooke is also like basically insane from 50 years of isolation.
Yeah, that'd do that to you.
And yet
It's not
he's still a more respectful pervert than Sanji.
That's not a high
And
bar.
unlike everyone else, like, there's actually a surprisingly low number of the Minettas in One Piece, and of them, even in anime as a whole, Brooke is sadly unique in one respect. Would you guys like to?
He takes no for an answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
He asks once
He
and then
asked-
doesn't ask again.
Yes, he
Or
asks
doesn't-
once politely, and then if they say no, he just okay, sure, and he drops it.
Oh yeah, he didn't ask to see your panties again, did he?
No, he
Nope.
he doesn't.
No,
He doesn't.
never asks twice. If
He'll ask
someone
pretty much.
tells him no, he respects them.
He'll ask pretty much every female character he comes across, but he doesn't ask again if he gets a negative answer. Like, he's just a really nice dude in that sense.
It's kind of weird when you're.
He's
It's kind of
like
weird.
probably.
It's kind of weird. You're trying to be like, that's good. Wait a minute, is that good or? Okay, I'm just gonna stop thinking. I don't want to go into.
Look,
that little tangle.
it's the fact that he's so good compared to every other anime/manga pervert.
Yeah, more or less.
Not just that, it's also the fact that he does kind of have the excuse of being more than a little kooky from, again, half a century of being completely alone.
To be fair, there were people trying to kill him occasionally during kill him again occasionally during that half century.
And he also had the
Yeah, but that
corpses
was
of
more
his
like,
friends.
Oh yeah. Jesus.
Also, Logstar, what were your? I know we're skipping ahead a little bit, but I have to ask. What were your thoughts on the fact that Brooke has been foreshadowed since before the Grand Line?
Well, I mean, I'll admit I didn't pick up literally every little foreshadow thing. But the whole
No,
point
no,
is,
no, there's
I
only
mean,
one.
When it got into things, no. What I mean is that when it got down to one of those moments later on with Raleigh, it's kind of like you see that there were like many of them in case you didn't notice. So it's like the whole string of them. I didn't even get like the entire. It's like, okay, there's that, and I probably missed one or two also because there's just such a string of them.
Okay, that's fair. I was speaking specifically about the whale.
Well, yeah, the whale. Well, yeah, that one's easier, but yeah, that one.
But yeah, like, what are your thoughts on the fact that this whale that showed up and his friend was mentioned, and we actually meet, like, how many other series do you have where a seemingly insignificant plot detail like that becomes a major emotional moment?
Mm-hmm.
Not too many, and I'll admit, you almost kind of get a little teary, you know, but... I'm sure when the little reunion happens in the epilogue, that'll be one of those little... People will be ruining their copies of Jump with the tears, or their phones or whatever, so yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, if you do not tear up at the Laboon Brook scenario, then you are a monster.
Honestly, like, the Brooke flashback is one of those things that makes me cry every single time I read it. Like, it hits. Like, and honestly, of the Straw Hat flashbacks, I think it's one of the shorter ones.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
only like 2.5 chapters.
It's pretty much. It's pretty much just the last few chapters of the arc, I believe.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it's only about 2 chapters, 2.5 chapters long.
Yeah.
But it packs such a huge emotional punch. And
But yeah,
Really,
we're skipping ahead a little bit. So immediately after, so basically, Brooke be a talking skeleton with an afro.
He ate the, what was it, Vive fruit, or whatever the fuck it's
So
called?
it's
Yeah.
the Yomi Yomi no Mi, which Yomi is kind of the afterlife or underworld. So they translate it as revive, even though that's not. And it's kind of did bite them in.
The
Bite
issue
them.
is they can't call it the soul fruit because that
Yes, but
Okay,
yeah. So
okay, yeah, I'm gonna find out what that meant soon enough, won't I?
not quite soon. It'll
not
be a while.
soon.
It'll be a while, yeah.
You've already heard of the user of that fruit, though.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say who. You've heard of it, but yes. The thing is, and we learn this a bit later, and it's skipping ahead a little bit, but revival isn't the only power the fruit gives someone.
No.
So the translators were kind of screwed over by the fact that they didn't learn the full details until much later. Because Yomi Yomi is much more an accurate representation because it encompasses more than just revival.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that assumes there's even a word that does the same thing as both, you know?
Well, the other
Yeah.
issue with Brooks fruit is that it has a very steep learning curve compared to most other fruits.
Yeah, so that's the thing about Paramecias, right? It's that they're the miscellaneous category of devil fruits, let's be real. And as a
Yeah.
result, some of them are really, really simple. Like Luffy. He took a bite of Gum Gum. And now he's made of rubber. Yo ho ho.
That is the
God.
obligatory One Piece rap reference.
God,
Video.
I can never unhear Gilbert Gottfried. I gave up after the first 2 sentences.
Same. I just know it's hilarious.
Actually, no, I specifically remember I gave up at Luffy.
Yep. To be fair, there wasn't a pronunciation guide. He was just given a transcript.
Yeah.
Yes, which is like good on him for doing
I mean,
it,
yeah,
but,
I'm just glad he fucking did it.
Well, I'm pretty sure he didn't say Zoro later on, so, you know, at least you missed that.
Listen here, mister.
Anyways.
Yeah, so basically we meet a gentlemanly pervert for the first time in anime history. Who, like, respects consent.
I mean, Brooke
God, I hate that that is an achievement.
Brooke sticks out all the more just because of fucking Absalom and his whole deal.
Oh god.
Oh, God.
We'll get to that in a bit.
No, let's just get Absalom out of the way now. Let's do that. Get it out of the way now. Because
Absalom is a character who is horrible and also makes Sanji much worse.
He makes them both worse and better. Better by comparison, but worse by just the reactions Sanji...
Yes. So basically, Absalom has an invisibility fruit. And he uses it to be a perv and also attempts to sexually assault Nami.
Yep.
So that happened.
Yep.
Now, there is good news, and I'm going to spoil this because I think we all need a bit of good news. He dead.
Yeah.
After the time skip.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil how, but I'm just gonna say he died, and probably it was not pleasant. Considering who killed him.
We can only hope.
Yes, and nothing of value was lost.
Yes. I mean, no, because the character who presumably killed him is well known for sadism.
Don't say anymore.
Yes, okay. But yeah.
Anyway.
Absalom is dead, and great value was gained by removing that curse from existence. However, the fact of the matter is, Sanji, initially, not even initially, the reason Sanji gets mad is that he's always dreamed of having that fruit, so he can be a sex offender.
Yeah.
Instead. And good lord, is that tone deaf as all. Like, that is really the greatest flaw of One Piece.
Anji.
Mm.
Yes. Sanji and more recently characters that were introduced who I are supposed to be very sympathetic, but I do not find sympathetic in any way because of their horribleness.
We'll talk
In that
about them when they
regard.
come up.
We'll talk about them in, much later, but yeah. So Sanji is a blight on an otherwise immaculate series.
The
So
worst
yes,
part
let's
is
never.
that when Oda uses him well, he uses him really well.
Yes, that's the problem. Is that that's the issue, isn't it? Is because Sanji is a protagonist, like one of the good guys, and
Such a mixed bag of a character.
yeah, which I'm pretty sure, and I think the worst part is that Oda did not intend for him to be a mixed bag. I'm pretty sure Oda intended him to be played for comedy the whole way. He just like kind of is a bit tone deaf in that regard.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the only character in the series who doesn't get played for comedy in some way is Kuma.
You're right. Oh God, Kuma is just tragedy after tragedy after tragedy, huh?
Well, also a juggernaut. But we'll get to that when we talk about the end of Thriller Bark plus Sabaody. Anyways, getting back to Sanji and Absalom, I am very glad that their fight was the first one of the major fights in the arc, because that way we can finish it and we can be done with it and get to the good fights. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. But we're skipping ahead a little bit.
Yes. I will say the setup for Thriller Bark and the initial parts of it are really good at kind of establishing a kind of gothic horror atmosphere without being too heavy and having a good deal of comedy to kind of lighten the mood.
Yeah, and I think additionally, what's kind of interesting is that this is like the Florian Triangle is where Thriller Bark is situated, and it's our first look at kind of the bigger world stage. I mean, it's not the first look, right? Annie's Lobby was the first look, but I think it's a look at how even individuals in this world can have a great deal of personal power and resources in a way that we haven't seen up until this point, right? Because like even someone like Crocodile or Ineru, they were powerful, but they took advantage of already established systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ineru set himself. Yes, so Ineru set himself up as the ruler of an already existing civilization, and so did Crocodile. Moria, on the other hand, his powers single-handedly built his faction.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically a nation unto himself with his ability to make new subordinates at the drop of a hat.
And it's also kind of interesting. Do we get the background for Thriller Bark, the ship, as a whole?
No. We just get the basic that it's an island from West Blue. That's it.
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting untold story in and of itself, isn't it? Is like how Thriller Bark came to be and how Moria got his hands on it.
Mm-hmm.
What's also interesting is Moria's backstory, which I think this is the first time we get any backstory on one of the seven warlords. It's brief, but we do find out why Moria is so much more bent on using his zombies.
Yeah, it's because he lost his chin.
That and his entire crew.
No, seriously, did it's confirmed that it was Kaido who did it, right?
Yeah, Kaido. Moria mentions Kaido by name.
Yeah, okay, so did Kaido just rip his entire chin off?
So Kaido is a character you have not met yet, but he will become important later. He's the guy who massacred Moria's original crew and presumably ripped off his chin.
Yeah, it was pretty obvious when that name came up. It's like that's one to write down. That's going to be important.
You've actually already wait. Have we confirmed what
Oh.
Kaido is?
No.
No.
All we know is that he fought Moria in the past. At this point.
Okay. He does have a mustache. That's all I'm gonna tell you.
But yeah, Fuzzy, from what we know of Kaido, are you at all surprised that he would have ripped Moria's chin off?
Just kind of, yeah, because like that seems like a more precise action than Kaido usually takes.
We'll talk more about Kaido when he becomes relevant.
Yeah, but basically, Moria used to be jacked and had a pointy chin, and then Kaido happened, and he is now a flabby, chinless entity of general strangeness. And it's the first look we...
about Moria. Finish your statement real quick.
It's the first look we get at a more middle of the road, like, or rather, it's the first look we get at a warlord operating at peak capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like,
actually, no. Moria is, by all indications, pretty washed up at this point.
No, I mean like peak capacity as of the point of the story, right? Because like we saw Mihawk and Crocodile. But Mihawk was not using anything close to his full strength, and Crocodile had gotten so cocky that he was not using his full strength either.
Oh yeah,
right?
No. By the time he thought to use his full strength, he was in the middle of a meltdown.
Yes, so we technically have not seen a warlord at their current maximum until Moria showed up.
Yeah, and of course, Moria then went to like 110%, and that extra 10% had its little drawback, so...
He became even thicker.
I have seen some confusion over how all the shadows escaped from Moria at the end of Thriller Bark. Because the explanation kind of seems contradictory. But it's not. Basically, as it gets explained when Luffy gets upgraded into Nightmare Luffy, shadows can't actively resist being put into a living person, and Moria is basically actively holding all the shadows into himself using his consciousness. Once he loses consciousness, he loses control of the shadows, and he can't hold them in anymore.
I mean, I just prefer to think that Luffy just punched the shadows out of him. Like, I know that's not what happened, but that's just the Luffy explanation.
I mean, it's not like he was having an easy time with that many before, during consciousness.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
it's very clearly
it's one of
shown
those
that he's
examples.
training to hold on to them.
Yeah, it's actually one of those interesting examples where it's, you know what it is? It's Trunks's roided out form.
Yeah, kinda.
In that, like, yes, he's powerful, but like that's worthless if he can't actually properly control it.
I mean, he was huge, but he was slow, and it made him just such a bigger target that, frankly, it would have been like, it was just a matter of time before Luffy managed to kick the shit out of him.
I feel like it's only a matter of time before Luffy?
Luffy, what the hell?
I'm sorry. Logstar, please just consult your notes while I try and recover from this.
Well, I mean, Luffy Loki would be a weird character. So.
Oh no.
Anyways, Logstar, what did you think about the overall arc plus like the middle stretch from them landing on the island to the boss fight with oars?
Well, I mean, I really did have fun with the horror movie tropes and some of the things that came to mind. They're just some great little jokes along the way. I mean, well, even though one thing, the blonde man with no bounty thing that comes back in a different form later. That one's just for the next arc. Great stuff there. Just too many jokes with the depression ghosts. Those were great. I will say that.
Usopp versus Perona was probably one of the funniest fights in the series thus far.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta. It's like that does nothing. It's like I'm already there. It's kind of like yeah. It's like, or just even then you just when that came up, it's like you get like Frankie like I suck. It's like me too, Frankie. Me too.
I just love the fact that okay, let's be real. Perona is just completely ineffective against millennials
Mm-hmm.
and Zoomers.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Usopp is. Usopp has always been kind of the audience stand-in to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's why Oda has also said that he will always be the weakest Straw Hat because he's supposed to be the most relatable.
And if having such low self-esteem that magical depression ghosts have no effect on you isn't relatable, then I don't know what is.
I know, right?
Okay, couple other little fun ones that came up though. God, did I forget what I was saying in about 5 seconds? One fun part before Oars Luffy actually ended up under control, just all the Luffy coming out, magical moments.
Yeah, so that's kind of the interesting thing about this about Moria's powers. Like, let's just go into Moria's powers a little bit because we were talking about Paramecia's being the miscellaneous category. Oh boy.
Mm.
Well, I will say just the one before that. One thing, just the fact that just Oars Luffy playing around with steering having an effect later, and of course, great moment with meat. Just come on. So I'll let you go now, but just great moments there. Also.
No, meat. That like Oars Luffy is great, and that's related to what I was talking about. Is that we call them zombies, and like some people try to use them for resurrection. But the fact of the matter is, it's not really resurrection in any way. Right? Like, how the shadow mechanics works is really weird.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was one thing later on with Sindri where it seemed like she was breaking through for a minute. So that is still a thing later on.
Yeah, so it's like, it's almost like it's half a resurrection, because it's like the entity that comes through is primarily driven by the core personality of the person that the shadow is taken from, but little bits and pieces of the original person do come through, which really make you wonder about the mechanics of the afterlife and the soul in the One Piece universe.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole
I don't think Oda will ever go into full detail on how it works. I think Brook's the deepest he's going to go on the subject, but it is still neat to think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like, it's odd, because like a little bit of Ryuma comes through as well.
Mm.
Oh, and
be sure to remember Ryuma because he is
very important later, and as is his sword. But Logstar, this is an interesting bit of background. What did you think of Ryuma in general? The idea of him as a character.
I mean, let's go back into my notes. See which part of the Ryuma thing. Right, so I was mainly like, yep, fight scene. Was this one of them? That one of them where I kind of skipped too much through off of fight scene mode? Uh-oh, I hope not.
It might be. It was Ryuma versus Zoro.
Yeah, so I think it was where it's like, yep, projectile attacking those slashes. Yep, gotta get a new sword. I'm like, get past the fight scene. Yeah, sorry about that one. Yeah, but my tendency on that one though.
Yes, so the unfortunate thing here is that while that's safe to do for a lot of fight scenes, this specific fight scene merits revisiting because it has widespread implications later on. But the thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that this is kind of retroactively canonizes one of Oda's very first works.
Mm.
Yeah, the
So
monsters one shot.
yeah, so long time ago, Oda did a one shot about a samurai named Ryuma who killed a dragon. Turns out that Ryuma is in fact the same Ryuma, which means that did in fact take place in the One Piece universe. That's interesting to think about because it's very much you can see hints of what will eventually become One Piece in Monsters, the one shot. Yes, would you like okay, so fight scenes we know aren't your thing. What are some interesting world building things that you noticed?
Well, one thing I will say that after Sabaody, a lot of stuff was purged from my memory because that part was more packed than all the rest before it.
It was quite dense, yes, and
Oh,
it was
boy.
like it's kind of a wham episode.
Yeah, we'll talk about Sabaody.
It's a series of whams, you know, quite the series.
Yes, it is. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit, but yes. So
now Dr. Vegapunk he came now. There was quite a bit of that stuff going through on that one. Let's see which Vegapunk things.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that in a bit.
First mentions Vegapunk during Thriller Bark, but
yes.
So kind of, but not quite a spoiler. We actually have not met Vegapunk yet in the story.
I'd assume that he's going to be one of the last ones we'll meet.
Canonically, yes, he has to be because according to Oda, Vegapunk is the man with the answers to most of the unanswered questions in One Piece.
Most of them presumably related to devil fruits.
Yes, he is apparently the authority on devil fruits, but it's also implied that he knows a decent bit about the Void Century and ancient weapons and things like that.
I can't believe we've gotten this far in and we haven't mentioned probably one of the best, certainly probably the best gag in the arc, if not in the series as a whole. Fucking Luffy trying to push a zombie back into its grave.
Yeah, that one.
That one was funny as hell.
So I was thinking about the combination robot mode.
Oh, that's also hilarious.
Never ask.
I just like again. I feel the visceral regret and secondhand embarrassment that Robin is going through. This is one of the few moments in the series where Robin loses her cool, and the reason for it is just
it's one of the few moments in the series where Robin doesn't actually like play along with the rest of the crew's idiocy. Like she genuinely just goes, "No, I'm not. I've got my limits. Okay, I'm not doing this. Don't ever ask me to do it again."
And then she does it anyway. Then she does it anyway, and then threatens everyone with the Frankie treatment.
Yeah, never ask to dock with me again. It's like,
another really funny gag I want to bring up that was just like a one-off panel gag was Frankie lighting a bunch of zombies on fire and then them immediately dousing it out with buckets of water.
Which they carry around for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
In case someone uses fire, obviously.
But yeah, we also get an interesting look at... So the shadow fruit is something that bears speaking about, because it is very interesting mechanically.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to use use the shadows as weapons, right? Like tangible weapons, but it also like allows you to do the whole zombie
his own shadow as a weapon. I don't think he can weaponize other shadows.
I wonder about that. Because, like, as we know, devil fruits, especially the powerful ones, have a tendency to fall into the hands of people who can't really use them as effectively as they should. So I wonder if we haven't seen all that the shadow fruit is capable of simply because Moria is kind of
shit,
a washed up has been.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, while he is at his peak in the current setting of the story, but he is far from his lifetime peak.
Oh yeah, no, he is way out of his prime. Honestly, of the current warlords, I think he's probably the weakest.
I would say so, yeah. Which is ironic considering the fact that Luffy beat one who's probably stronger than him much more easily.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Crocodile is, as we've said, he both got cocky and was in the middle of a meltdown when Luffy actually beat him.
And he'd already taken a decent amount of damage. Remember that, like,
Yeah.
Logias tend to be glass cannons.
Mm.
If you can actually hit them, because they're less used to getting hit, they don't have the same level of resilience as
Not to mention that in that sense, Crocodile did have sort of a huge weakness that Moria didn't. In that.
That said,
Yeah.
here's the interesting thing. We learn that there tend to be powerful devil fruits that are kind of balanced in that they have specific weaknesses.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right?
Honestly, the most broken devil fruit in this arc is probably Perona's.
Yeah.
And even that's balanced out by the fact that it's useless on millennials and Zoomers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Perona's devil fruit is a very interesting one. Oh, wait, no. It's not the most broken one. That'd be Kuma's.
Kuma has a very, very interesting power, but we'll get to him in a bit. But I think the thing... but no, I bring up specific weaknesses because we've seen 3 examples so far, now including the Shadow Fruit.
Yeah, Crocodile, Eneru, and Moria. Who,
yes.
Who, not coincidentally, are all main saga antagonists.
Mm.
And is kind of... Though I will say, Moria's weakness is a lot less... So, okay, let's just bring it up real quick. Crocodile's weakness, water, because water makes his sand clump together and prevents him from taking from no-selling damage.
Mm-hmm.
Eneru, rubber, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Insulator. And theoretically, it's not just rubber. Theoretically, any insulator would work on on him.
Mm.
Like, you could probably use like a polished piece of wood, I suppose, a wood with an insulating coating. Just beat the crap out of him.
Theoretically.
Like, I would love to see that as just someone beating the crap out of him with just a stick. And he's like, why is this happening? And the other person is just like, electrical engineering. I would love that, but no. And Moria is different in that his weakness is not a direct one that affects him.
Mm.
Zombies are weak to salt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because apparently power of the sea.
Oh yeah. That's a fun weakness. And it makes a lot of sense, honestly, because devil fruits are weak to the ocean, and thus an aspect of the ocean is salt.
And in that sense, you know, every devil fruit has a weakness in that, you know, the ocean and sea stone.
Mm-hmm.
Though, that said, what's interesting is that the ocean is a bit broad, but the actual thing is just water.
Mm.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the ocean. If they are fully submerged in water, they are fucked.
So, there's actually specific mechanics for it as well. Logstar, I don't think you're familiar with them in particular. They're fine up to knee-high water. But once it starts going above knee-high, they progressively lose more and more of their power.
Right. Yeah.
And it seems to be also related to percentage of body submerged, because they do take baths, right? Like, first of all, free flowing water in the form of rain or showers do not affect them, but rivers and stuff do. So I guess it's just it's not even about surface area contact, it's about the body of water being sufficiently large.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So yes, apparently Luffy takes showers, and also when he does take baths, they're shallow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, because that had never come to mind. I was like, that's exactly what came to mind when you were saying that. I was like, Oh, are there gonna be smell jokes coming? Please no.
No,
Please,
no, no. They
like
they
that
can
guy
shower
who-
completely.
You know?
And they're perfectly free to shower.
Yeah,
They can
showering.
even like take baths as well.
Yeah, showering is never an issue for them.
But
Like,
yeah,
like one thing that didn't come before, the specific mechanic behind Shadow did get me. The whole no, the shadow's not following the body; it's the other way around. Yeah, I just found that to be a pretty creative way to pull it off, really, and a nice way to explain Or's gaining stretchy ability. It's like no, the body's just following the rest. Like that actually works. Yeah, I approve.
yeah, it is interesting though that that's probably the only scenario in which Moria actively interfered with a shadow on that level, which makes sense considering who and what Ors is.
Not to mention how much of a lazy bum Moria is.
Oh, that's funny because that sounds like a fun thing to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, though what's interesting is the fact that this implies that he could theoretically do some body horror crap with his zombies.
Oh yeah.
Which is a bit terrifying to think about. So theoretically, he could like shrink his zombies into like a flat strip of cloth and then roll them up to carry them easier.
Mm-hmm.
Like even shrink them into tiny little pellets and then just unleash an army of zombies from somewhere.
Or go with the Ant-Man meme strategy.
Ah, yes, the Thanos protocol. Which is just terrifying to think about, and is another example of things where if One Piece was a different sort of series, we might be seeing some of that, but it's not that kind of series.
Yeah, Junji Ito doing a One Piece crossover it
would not end well. No, do not give Junji Ito the rights to One Piece, please.
It would end well, but only for certain people.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be able. I'm pretty sure if Junji Ito was allowed, he wouldn't be allowed to kill off any established characters. So
no. I mean the psyches of the people reading it. Some would turn out great. The rest, would.
Yeah. Anyways, getting back to Moria's Devil Fruits. It's actually part of a recurring theme with the Warlord Devil Fruits that they tend to be really fucking broken compared to most other standard Devil Fruits.
Yeah, and though the irony is that what's probably the strongest Warlord has no fruit.
Oh yeah, but we'll talk more about Mihawk a bit later.
And that seems to have an implied for now attached to it.
No.
No, for reasons that we'll get into later in the series, actually.
Yeah. We'll talk about Mihawk more when it becomes relevant again, but at the moment, basically all you need to know is that Moria is, despite being one of the weakest warlords, probably the weakest warlord at this point, is also blessed with a very powerful devil fruit that basically is what keeps him relevant.
Oh my god, Moria is just Buggy with slightly greater ambitions.
Buggy with better ambitions and a better fruit, I think.
No.
Also, less
His
of
fruit
Oda's
is not
love.
better. He just knows how to use it better than Buggy, because Buggy has one of the most broken fruits in the series.
You're right.
But yeah,
we'll talk about Buggy's fruit when he becomes relevant again.
But yeah, what Moria doesn't have that Buggy has is Oda's love.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, that really.
The only thing that keeps Buggy around, Oda's love.
I will also say. Oh, I almost forgot. We haven't talked at all about Hogback.
Ugh.
I mean, he's just
like.
Oh, he's a disgusting person, but I do appreciate what he does for Chopper's character arc.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good foil for Chopper, but I mean, there comes a point where he sort of stops being relevant in the arc.
Oh yeah,
No,
no, it's right before Or steps on him.
Mm.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and just the whole